Hello and welcome to the Ottawa Herald's 2012 General Election Candidate Interviews. I'm Crystal Herber with the Herald, here with Rick Howard, Williamsburg native and Democratic candidate for the District 2 Franklin County Board of Commissioners seat. Hello, Mr. Howard.
Hello.
Thanks for coming in today.
No problem.
Let's get started. My first question, kind of a broad one. Why are you choosing to run?
Well, I've been a resident of Franklin County most of my life, and I just retired last January from the Ottawa Police Department. I've had thoughts about this over the years and was not able to do it because of the scheduling and work and so forth. And after I retired, I was visiting with one of the members on the commission, and he encouraged me to do this and to make the attempt to get on the commission. And once I voiced that idea, I had several people support it and call me and encouraged me to do it. So,
you mentioned in your questionnaire you'd like to see some changes in the commission. What are some of the more specific changes you would like to see made if you're elected?
Become more available to the people in District 2 in the rural area, make more contact with them and see what their problems or concerns are, and represent them at the commission meetings more. I feel like I have the time to be available, and with my experience with the police department, I have a lot of time listening to people's issues and problems and trying to work out the best solution, and I think that would help me in this. And
what are some of your, if you've had a chance to think about it, what are some of your new ideas that you would like to bring to the board?
Of course, I'm also in favor of economic development, of course, like most people are, but more of a look at the rural areas, the concerns out there, and helping them. I grew up in a small town in Franklin County. My wife teaches in Williamsburg right now. I think there's a lot of issues that with the people in the rural area of Franklin County that's not totally being addressed, and I think I would try to bring that more to the commission.
How familiar are you with the day-to-day duties of a commissioner?
Probably fairly limited, not being on the commission before. I have a couple of the commissioners that are friends, and we've talked a lot about the different things they do and so forth, but pretty much just from that, and from visiting with them and them explaining to me what they do. Whenever I would decide to do this, after talking to one of the commissioners, he has given me a lot of the information on what their responsibilities are and what they do, but I would say probably fairly limited, not ever serving on that position.
Do you feel like you're capable of handling those duties that you've mentioned, or that you talked with the other commissioner about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How many, are you a regular attender of the current commission meetings?
I would not say regular. I've been to a limited number.
Okay.
In the past, I hardly ever, I've never did attend much in the past. Once I became, or decided to do this, I went to a couple.
Okay. Now, you mentioned you're a former Ottawa police officer. How long were you on the Ottawa police force?
23 years.
23 years. And how do you feel that experience will help you in public office?
I think quite a bit. Most of what you deal with on the police department is, people that's having a problem at the time, whether it be with someone else or just different type of problems. So most of your job is to listen to what the problem is and try to work out the best solution you can. If there's more than one person involved, try to work it out where you can make everyone as happy as you can. Possibly you're not going to make them happy all the time, but it's important that you listen and then go from there and try to work it out.
What are some of the specific concerns the people of your district, District 2, have discussed with you, and how will you address those concerns if elected?
Well, anytime you're in the rural area, roads is going to be a big one. There's always people that's not happy with their roads or the road conditions, some of the bridges and conditions like that. And I think I would do, have the time to go out and look at these roads and to meet with those people and to bring that to the commission and see what we can do. I feel that sometimes that it's not really they're not being represented. It's just like, well, I know the road's bad, but we don't have the money to fix it. Well, I think you need to go out and look at them and see what we can do with them.
And that's something you would focus on if elected?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned this previously. A concern of the boards in recent months has been economic development and growth. What is your stance on further economic development in the urban growth area, and how would you work to facilitate further growth throughout the county?
It's going to be hard to answer. I'd have to be in a position to work with the different committees that's involved in that. I have not worked with them. I really know what they're working on and not have access to their information. I would hope if I got onto the commission, I'd be able to meet with them and work with them on it.
As far as economic growth throughout the county, what is your stance on that, and how do you feel about the current commission's work towards?
I think the one way to get the economic growth is the only way you're going to do it is to be able to get more people into the county, more housing. I think it's going to be a case where you work with them to, for their roads or for different things to try to get new houses built into the area and so forth and get more population there. My wife teaches at Williamsburg. I grew up there. I know the problems of a small town that's losing numbers. And I think you just have to make it appealing to people to want to move to that area and to build out in that area.
So rather than focusing on having what they call shovel-ready property for big companies, you would focus more on having appealing housing for the potential workers that would come? I
think that, we're close enough to the city, to Kansas City and so forth, that we could still get a lot of people that would be willing to move to this area and still be working in the city. I realize that you're not going to bring a bunch of people in that don't have jobs and not have anything to offer for them, but I still think we can get a lot more people here that are working in Ottawa or in Kansas City or wherever. And then if you get the opportunity to get one of those companies here, I think you need to do everything you can to get them here. I know that it's not easy to get a large company into the rural area, but if it happens, you need to do everything you can to help make it happen.
One of the duties of the board is to approve the county's budget. In tight economic times, where would you be willing to cut back and why?
I would have to probably look at the budget. I have not studied the budget enough to really probably make a comment on that at this point. I'd have to look at it. I think one thing I would understand is the one department I would understand a lot, it would be the sheriff's department budget. I haven't looked at it, but being a police officer 23 years, I think I have a good knowledge of what it takes to operate the department, what is necessary and what might be, could be cut out, not necessary. Okay.
So not necessarily, you wouldn't necessarily cut from that budget, but you would be a voice for that, but for that budget right on the commission. Okay. Is there some place that you would be willing to cut in order to facilitate that further road repair and development?
I'd have to look more at the budgets. I don't really know what the budgets are and who's operating what I would feel would be in excess of what they need and who is not getting as much as what they probably need. I think there'd be wages would have to be looked at, of course, on county employees and see where they're at and so forth.
Okay. Would you consider yourself a fiscally conservative candidate?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you consider yourself that?
I just think of the way the economy is right now, that, through raising 2 kids and 4 grandkids and my daughter going through nursing school right now, and making his times are a little tough, and I think you have to be that way.
As a Democrat in a predominantly Republican county, what do you feel your chances are at winning the upcoming election?
Well, hopefully most people this day and age vote for the person. I'm hoping that I can convince the people that I'm the right person for the job. I know I don't vote straight party, I never have, and I think there's a lot of people out there right now that doesn't vote straight party, that votes for the person, and I think my chances will be good on that part of it. I don't really feel that being a Democrat or Republican really has a lot to do with being on the county commission. I mean, I think that if you're on the county commission, your interests got to be the people of your district to start with, and all of Franklin County, whether it be a Republican or Democrat. I hope most people look at it that way.
Facing an incumbent who has 12 years of experience on the board, how are you working to combat that and swing people's votes your way?
Like I said, I think it's a time for a change, and when I started looking into this, that was voiced to me numerous times, and hopefully a lot of people out there feel the same way. I think that our president's allowed a limited amount of time to serve, and I think sometimes that is for a reason, and I think that I can bring some new energy to the board, new interests. Like I said, I have the time to do it now that I'm retired, and I just think I could, bring some new energy.
Yep. As far as serving in public office, you mentioned that you've served on the Williamsburg City Council for a few years. How long
Several
did you?
years ago.
Several years ago. How long did you serve?
I was, I think, a little over a year, around a year and a half. I went on the commission to replace someone that didn't serve out their time, resigned, and they asked me to serve his time, and I did. And I did not run for the position when it came up. I was working at the police department, and there was, nights I'm on night shift, and they were having commission meetings. It didn't work out very well.
What was your overall experience on the council?
When I was on the council, I had a mayor that was there at the time was very good, and I was on the council with some very good individuals, and it was good. Like I said, I know that it's not always run smooth. We had a couple of decisions that was controversial that we had to make while I was there, but they were made, and it didn't go over well with a lot of people, but after it was done and they realized it was for the best for Williamsburg, everything went fine. But yeah, it's definitely an experience. No longer when I was on it,
By the same token, you, if elected, could face some controversial decisions on the board. Is that something? Excuse me. Is that something you feel you're capable of handling, and how would you handle it?
Yes, because I felt that with my being on the police department for 23 years, most of the decisions you make there are controversial, and it's not going to make everyone happy, and I feel I have a lot of experience with that. And like I said, I've made a lot of those decisions over 23 years. It's not pleased everyone, but I feel like I am able to listen to all parties involved and then try to work out the best solution we can. And I've found that most people, if you are willing to listen and then explain why you're having to make that decision, usually take it a lot better.
Speaking of listening, you mentioned that there's a lack of communication between some on the commission. Why do you think that is, and if elected, how will you change that?
Well, I don't know really why there's the lack of communication. I think it's anytime more than several individuals are involved, you're going to have conflicts between some of them, and I think there's some of that. I don't really have any problems with any of the commissioners who are on there now. Matter of fact, most of them I don't even really know. So at this point, I have no issues with anyone. I'm not wanting to get on there because I dislike one or another of them. I don't. And I think that sometimes when you're on something for a long time, those kind of situations come up when you're dealing with other individuals for a long period of time. And I think being new would help me in that way.
And do you feel you will effectively be able to interact with not only the other members on the board, but the other elected officials in the county and county staff? Yes,
I've worked with a couple of the other members of the staff before. Miss Johnson I've worked with when I was the school resource officer dealing with the juveniles, and she was working at the county attorney's office in juveniles. So I have worked with her, and I think it would not be a problem.
Speaking of the county administrator, Lisa Johnson, do you feel like that office has served a good purpose over the years? It was instituted when your challenger got on the board. He was a big proponent of that. Do you feel like that's something that was positive for the county?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And
I think that one thing that has helped is the fact that she's available. If an individual in the county has an issue, they can go to her office and talk to her about it. It doesn't put the problem on them to try to track down a commissioner to talk to, and they can make contact with her pretty much anytime during business hours, and then she can let the commissioner know if they need to go out. So I think that has helped.
How readily available would you be to your constituents in your district, as far as contact-wise?
Anytime.
Okay. And going back to your competitor, in the Republican primary, your challenger won more than 60% of the votes. Does that intimidate you at all? Why or why not?
No, it doesn't really intimidate me. I just try and see how I come out.
Yep.
We'll see what happens if I don't know that the primary has anything really to do with the November election.
And you chose to file by petition. What motivated that move, and how do you feel it has worked out for you so far?
Good. I think you might ask me earlier if I was about my spending of the, money in this day and age with the economy. Well, it was $35 or something with I don't remember, 35 to 40 signatures. If not, it was $200 and some to file. It made a lot more sense to me to pay $35 and go out and meet with different people, and it gave me a chance to talk to some people and get the signatures. I just didn't see spending $230 some that wasn't necessary to spend.
Yep. And how has your campaign gone so far? How have you been received by the people you visited with?
Well, I think everybody I've talked to seemed positive, and I haven't spent a lot of money in my campaign. I've spent has all came out of my pocket, and I know that some people have spent a lot more than I have, but for what I spent, and I think it's going fairly good.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have.
Thanks.
Again, I'm Crystal Herber with the Herald, and this is Rick Howard, Democratic candidate for District 2, Franklin County Board of Commissioners. Thank you.